Even say.
I think you're talking about your hometown. Which
Ardmore, a place I lived?
Yeah, those references I very much did not understand.
Right.
But I was able to put together through context.
Good. Good job using your clues.
Hi, and welcome to the Inner Moxie podcast, a podcast about not one, but two neurodivergent adults trying to live their best life on the neuro D-list and not hate themselves in the process. I'm your host, Ronnie.
And I'm Danny.
And this week, we are going to be talking about sensory processing sensitivity.
Yeah. All right. Time to meter the Moxie.
All right. Meter it up. I'm going to go change things up and go with a 5-point scale.
Oh.
This time.
Shocker.
I know, right? I'm going to go with a 4. I'm feeling pretty all right. Things are going all right. My kids are almost in summer school, so the year's coming to an end. My daughter will be growing into, or promoting, they call it now, not graduating, promoting in the middle school. And so big changes afoot. And just, I got, I mentioned before, I'm doing the Burlesque Hall of Fame, and that's just really on my mind right now. And it's, it also is like a chance to get into some bigger video stuff that I haven't had a chance to do for a while. I don't mean that to downplay the work I do on this podcast.
How dare you?
I know. How dare I? Actually, like, getting back into this has been...
Helicopter. No afternoony.
No afternoony. That sounded almost like a protest. But yeah, like, getting back into this, she says I just didn't have things to edit. And so having this to edit kind of sparked that back up a little.
Yeah. But
like, this is like a full big event that I'm not putting together, but I mean, recording it, I'm putting together. And I don't know, it feels good to be back in that wheelhouse of something. It's both something I knew and that I was good at, but also something that I'm kind of stepping out on my own to do.
Yeah.
And so far it is going well. So I'm just kind of, I'm riding that wave of, it's a busy wave, but it feels good to be doing something that I do well, that I feel has purpose.
Yeah.
And that feels really, really good. 4.5.
Wow.
Yeah. We'll push it to that.
Wow.
How about you? How's your Moxie doing?
I'm in the middle of a frenzy of like work shit.
Mm-hmm.
So, overall things are better. And I know this because there have been signs, and those signs were, okay, so I worked until 8:00 on Friday night, but then Saturday morning, I basically cleaned my whole house, which I had been, not that I don't have anyone, I don't have anyone else that lives there other than cats. So like, It's not like it was getting like super funky or anything, and it had only been 3 weeks. But for me, just certain things really get under my skin. Like if I can see, the cats, they shred up those scratching cardboard things. And when that stuff's on the floor, I just hate it. And I could not get myself to vacuum for a long time. So anyway, this weekend was fun. Today has not been my favorite day. Final push. What?
I was gonna say, and most people love Mondays so much. It's not Monday.
It's not. I don't mind Mondays. So maybe, I mean, I now check in with myself every morning at least. And I was edgy from the beginning because this is probably another reason today's not my favorite day. My cat started fucking around at 4:08 a.m. or at least that's when I looked at my watch. And I was like, there is no fucking way that you are doing this. And it's my fault because I plugged in my new fan that I got last night, and I found all of these cat toys that got batted under my dresser. So I let them all fly. And so everyone was just playing two of them were playing all night. So it is my fault that happened.
That's like the cat owner.
I don't own anything.
Okay, the cat parent
Yeah.
equivalent of eating spicy food. Like, oh, this is a great idea. Then at 4:00 in the morning, oh, why did I do that?
Exactly. I was just like, oh, maybe I'll be nice and I'll get all the. There was like 10 toys back there because they play really hard with them and they all disappeared. They're almost all gone. But like some of Farachi's favorites are in there. He likes the sparkly, like not even sparkly. It's like tinsel on a ball. He loves those, and the balls just get more bald as he plays with them. But I think he eats some of it. I've seen it in some
That's
poop.
the opposite thing that happens in humans.
Right. Anyway, so he got some of his favorites. Scoogie loves these little spring things.
Scoogie?
Yeah.
I don't think I've heard that name before.
Got 4 cats.
What's Scoogie short for, or is it just a cute name?
Well, he is gray like a shadow, and I just was like, I cannot name something shadow. There are so many shadows, and that's just too obvious for me. So I just looked up what shadow meant in other languages, and I liked how the Icelandic sounded.
I like that. Scoogie is a good name.
It is. Everyone's like Scooby. I'm like, nope.
No.
Listen, he plays really hard. He loves, anyway. So they were messing around, and I was ready to like throw him specifically because he's the loudest about it in the morning anyway. He's the one that's like, hello, get up, I'm hungry, feed me. But it's usually at like, 6 o'clock if I'm not already up.
Yeah.
But 4 o'clock is like, you get the fuck out of my face. Like I had no nice things to say this morning. So it's just started that way.
I don't know if you're like this. I am certainly like this where, and I know you don't stay up late at night. I generally don't stay up that late either. But the value of time at the end of the night is so much more or so much less precious.
Sorry, it's not you. I don't understand. It's fucking Grand Theft Auto out there today.
It makes you feel better. Most of them come out pretty easy.
What?
We don't hear it in the final mix.
Oh yeah,
usually.
you're right.
It
doesn't make me feel better though because the sound is dysregulating, not the
No, I get that
effect.
Well, at least you don't have to listen to it twice.
True, thank you.
Oh yeah, so time at the end of the night, like that final 2 hours. Like I might stay up an hour, I might stay up 2 hours. Rarely, but it happens, and I don't feel too terrible about it. I'm a little sluggish the next day. If you wake me up 5 minutes before when I was supposed to wake up, I am like, how dare you steal that from me? Whereas like I can lose sleep from one end, and it's like, it's not great. I try and avoid it, and I don't do it most of the time. The other time, yeah, like at 4 o'clock in the morning, that is like the 2 hours of precious time. Like I would rather you'd kept me up until 3 o'clock in the morning other than to wake me up. Are you?
Mm-hmm. I am. But I don't love it at any time when I am just resting and I don't do a good job of like curbing this behavior. But they run like the devil is chasing them, and human, furniture, whatever's in the way, you are part of, if you're in the sequence of running, then you are run upon and jumped from, and that I don't like.
I believe in a veterinary lingo that is called the zoomies.
Yeah. I was ready to shoot everyone this morning with water, but still, I still say that. I tell them I'm going to shoot them all the time, and I'm not sorry.
No, they don't.
Oh my
English.
God!
It's okay.
Oh, I really wish I took my afternoon today because this is not going well for me. Outside Fullerton is falling apart. Is it the end of the world?
The end of the world starts in Fullerton.
It has to start somewhere. We don't live in a city like that. Like that sounds like what New York sounds like on a movie outside. Okay.
I do know, like, if I had a chance to fly the helicopter, I might take it around for a few spins before I put it back. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know if you'd make it that far if you weren't properly trained. You might just crash it.
I wouldn't be like, hey, bro, let me drive.
People do that. I mean,
that's
12-year-olds try that with cars. You could translate that to an adult with helicopter.
I would not try to fly a helicopter without proper.
Okay.
I think that would actually make, if I had proper training to fly a helicopter, that'd make me want to keep it out more. But like, I put all of this work into getting my license. Also, I don't want to forget about it.
Yeah, but then would you pay the gas prices? Okay.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's so not what we're talking about.
No, every sound is so loud.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm tired. Anyway, we're talking about, let's just transition right into it, because I don't know if I gave myself a number or not, but that's how I'm doing.
Okay.
Maybe a 6.5. I think that's what
Out of 10?
Yes, out of 10. Just because I'm tired and I'm just so ready for my intensity portion of the projects I'm working on to be over.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not like I can drop it. Like, I think about, okay, the next day I need to do this, and this, and that actually helps me. It's not an anxiety thing. It's like,
right.
Okay, it makes me feel better knowing what I'm walking into versus like, here's this, and you need to do this all as fast as you possibly can, and probably faster than that, which I'm pretty fast. So,
fast as fuck, boy.
Yeah, fast as fuck, boy, whatever that's from.
It's a TikTok thing.
I redact. I don't align with TikTok at all.
Well, I take it back.
Yeah, I forget. So all the noises are loud. Turning it off, like, not like the work. It's not hard. It's just like, I'm ready to be done. I'm ready to push through. But I have noticed my brain has limits. And I'm trying to respect them. But like any other additional thing at this time, it's so much worse than normal.
Right.
That's all. Which I don't even know that is a neuro D situation.
I will say this, because I know you're looking to move on anyway, and this transitions pretty well. I to our next segment about corrections from last week.
I was not even going to go there. I was going to go straight to content.
I kind of picked that up.
Yeah.
But no, you opened me up for a perfect one. I just had a minor correction from last week. I said, I was talking about window of tolerance, and I was saying that I was either hyper or hypo fixated, which was the wrong terminology. The terminology I was looking for was hypo or hyper aroused. And that's kind of like, and maybe this at least is similar to your situation, but I do have times when, the kind of idea of a window of tolerance is like, there's so much you can take, and sometimes you'll go out of that, and then your body or your brain will do some things that probably aren't so great to compensate for that. Sometimes you'll get hypo aroused, and so that's, the first one is like, I'm gonna, I'll get hyper aroused because of something, and someone I'll get hyper aroused, so I go outside of my window, and that means I'm hyper aroused. Or if I go up, it's outside of my window, I'm hyper aroused, and that more is like breakdown territory. That's like shouting into pillow territory. That's,
shouting you're gonna shoot everyone in your house, like me. In your house, that would go down so different.
It would. It would.
You shouldn't do that.
I don't
recommend
I
it.
don't.
For me, it's funny because it's water, gun, and cat.
Yes.
Not even a gun, it's a spray.
Yeah. Less funny when it's
children and a wife.
10-year-old and a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then hypo aroused is like something will happen, and it just be like, well, now I'm going to ball up into bed, and I won't be able to get out of my bed. And not even like sadness, but like, I don't know if you ever get that, to like, I can't get out of bed. I can't move.
Bed, no. Couch, yes, today.
And but yeah, it's just something my therapist has me working on, of like that window is not always the same. Sometimes you're going to have big stuff. Sometimes, and if you're living in kind of at the moment a bunch of stress coming on, I can imagine that window like sealing up for you a little bit. And so like you're sticking in there, but you're riding that line.
Yeah. I mean, I know it all well enough as far as my own patterns to know, like, I was asked a few different questions, some about fun stuff. And I'm like, if you ask me this today, I'm going to say no. Please ask me again in like 4 days. You know, people expect that now a little bit, or they're like, okay, sorry, no pressure. You know, that happened today. Because I'm like, if you need a decision today, it is absolutely fucking not. Which that's not even fair. And I know that, so I can step outside of it a little bit. I also, side note, really struggle with that analogy of the window of tolerance, because it goes in my head when I picture a window, it's a window without a screen that you can manually open and shut up and down. And then when you add tolerance in there, I just think about Diversity Day, and it just turns really weird in my head.
No, I get
not that. I mean, don't stop using it because it's your thing. It's just really hard to conceptualize for some reason for me.
You know, it's weird. I also had a hard time conceptualizing it, but for a completely different reason, is because I imagine a window and I imagine it as a rectangle. But then if it shrinks, so I imagine it shrinking in my head. I imagine it not only getting smaller along the y-axis, but also smaller along the x-axis.
So it's your. Like,
so I don't know what to the left and the right getting smaller signifies, which is nothing, but how I visualize it has that in there. And so I'm like, but it's very up or down. I don't know.
Yeah, no. I mean, whatever the analogy is, like, I know that when it turns into like almost like a physiological response sometimes, like just like like, and then I don't know that I go into true hypoarousal, because I mean, today at like 3:30 I brought my laptop to the couch, and like I couldn't get myself to move. There were some things I needed to do, and I just couldn't. I was like, I can do this here, and that is it. I was like, I need to do this, and this. And it was just like this mental loop of things, and I wasn't feeling good about it. I wasn't doing anything about it. I don't know, symptom management. It was not a fun time.
Yeah.
And it all builds on top of each other. This will pass. I do know that. This is not how my life is for the rest of it. It will probably be a lot better. I know that I need to just like decompress and just like release the valve, which I don't know what that'll look like, but probably just doing whatever I want and not planning it ahead of time, but just planning to do whatever I want for whatever those hours are.
Right.
That is what that will look like. And I won't know until I get there.
Giving you some you time.
Yes.
Which is different than just taking some you time for some reason. But it's weird. It makes a world of difference if you give you some you time. At least for, I think, minds like ours.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is a 3-day weekend coming up, which for me is a nice thing. I don't know what it's like for parents who get their kids an extra day during the school week. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, this one's not so bad because, first of all, I fucking forgot until you said that. We're going to bring it back down to 4. No, I'm kidding. No, I like hanging out with my kids. And it is hard, though, when I'm trying to work. But I was going to say, this one doesn't really even manage that much because, like I say, in like 2 weeks, they'll be out of school anyway. So, yeah, 4-day to 5-day, it doesn't matter. All of the stuff is lined up for them to phase out into summer and then back into summer school for those who go to summer school.
Okay, so today we're going to talk about sensory processing sensitivity, and it's I don't even remember how I came across it this week, but I was like, I think that this is something that I'm literally going through right now, and something that I don't fully understand, just because, I mean, I've talked about how loud the world has been getting lately, and ADHD has something to do with focus and all of that to begin with, but I was like, I kind of want to talk about it because I think this might be kind of like cracking the code a little bit as to an explanation for what has happened. maybe, I mean, I didn't get to do as much of a deep of a dive. I didn't have a lot of time
Right.
to really get into anything too serious. So, but I do, I mean, I got it from Attitude, which is ADD-itude, which I like them pretty okay. So
It sounds like a school note. I like you pretty okay. Do you like
I
me
know.
too?
Well, I mean, I haven't vetted them fully as far
That's-
as like accuracy, but
Right.
they seem to do some good.
Nice.
And I don't like watching videos. Like, yes, for exercise. I struggle with it for everything else. You talk about video essays and stuff. Like, I don't know. I'm not there.
Yeah. Well, also, I mean, keep in mind the big portion of, well, I don't have the level of schooling that you do. So a lot of my education came from videos. That's just how I learned things outside of the amount of college that I did do that and obviously didn't complete. But also I'm a video guy, movie company and stuff like that. So that's just something. And then beyond that, like I'm historically a media guy. And so that's just a way I like to take in the world.
For sure. I mean, you and lots of people. I came across a scholarly article today, actually, talking about how people are using podcasts, videos, and things for informal learning. And it's a valid, I mean, you already knew it was valid, but I mean, it is a valid way of learning things. That's how most people learn anything. I mean, I'm not saying that I haven't learned things. I didn't accidentally buy it, but I bought something from Target, but they didn't take off it's a clothing item. They didn't take off the thing. So I used YouTube to figure out how to take it off without
destroying it.
Yeah, without destroying it. Because now there's no ink. Or maybe there never was. I don't know. But it's a sound one now, everyone. At least at Target. So
I wonder if that works the same for a bank.
Oh, you know what? You should try it. And then I can have the podcast all to myself. And you'll never hear one again because I can't edit. Anyway, so tired. And this cricket behind me is really throwing me. I can't even tell you I didn't take any afternoonie. I was awake all day. Could have.
Yeah.
But
sometimes, I think I've made this joke before, but sometimes it's hard to remember to take the pill that makes you remember things.
But I did think about it a lot. And I think the problem was I was like, well, if I'm going to do this, I should do this later. Because I would normally do it between like 2 and 3. But then I was like, is it going to last until later? But then all of a sudden it was like 5:30 and I was like, I can't take this now. I need to go to sleep as soon as I get home. So I missed it.
I had maybe one of the most ADHD experiences of my life the other day. I was like, oh, I need to go take my insulin. And so I go to the fridge. That's where I keep my insulin because it needs to be cold. And and then I just kind of go on autopilot and I take something out of the refrigerator. I pop it open. And right before I press it into my belly, I look at it and I go, this is mustard. This is not what I went to the refrigerator for. What the fuck am I doing? I'm supposed to be taking my insulin. And so I go back to the refrigerator and get my insulin out.
Is it not in a needle?
My insulin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were going to put mustard in your needle?
No, I'm sorry. My insulin comes in a pin with a needle on it.
Oh.
So like a kind of like an EpiPen that doesn't push out all of its dose at once. So like, let's say, I have, I don't know how many it has in, but we'll say it has like 100 doses. And then like, I'm supposed to take, however many, we'll say 10. It's much higher than 10, 10 in the morning and 15 at night or something like that. So it's just a pen that I use. And but like, yeah, I'd pulled out the mustard for some reason. Cause I guess I went to the refrigerator and I pulled it out and I looked and I popped it up and I was like, literally put it up to my stomach. I'm like, these aren't. This isn't the thing I'm supposed to be doing right now. This is not correct.
Huh.
And then I went and replaced it and got my actual insulin pen, and then stuck my stump in the stomach.
Oh, there you go.
But,
I mean, I'm doing Mounjaro right now, so I feel it. I feel that. Tirzepatide, excuse me. It's generic.
But yeah, no, it just reminded me of it when you said it's like, oh, I was going to take my meds, but then I was like, not quite. And I was like, oh, I had eight similar moments. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, you unknowingly said another one of my trigger words, which it makes no sense. I don't know why it is.
Ooh.
Belly. I don't know why I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I don't know why. I have no reason. I have no reason. Which, I don't know. I can't explain it. There's no way around it for me. I don't understand why it bothers me. It's not even an offensive word, so
no.
It probably shouldn't bother me, but I don't know why it does. You know, some people say that for moist. I'm just like, it is a way to describe cake. Also, not just vaginas or whatever people will say.
Also, nothing wrong with the moist other thing. No, I don't. I think moist. I think this of moist, and I think this of the Roman Empire. There's a thing going around for a few months on the socials about.
I would definitely not know
that all men think about is the Roman Empire. Like if you go up and ask a man,
you know what? Someone said that to me. I didn't understand the joke.
Mm-hmm.
I did hear about this a few months ago, and I was like, I don't get it.
And so now people are saying this is my Roman Empire.
It's a Roman Empire era.
No, meaning that's the thing they think about all the time.
I know. I just added Taylor Swift to this.
I don't know why I did that laugh. I didn't mean to mock you. It wasn't
funny. You can mock me. I didn't even register.
I know, but
way.
But if I mock you, I want you to know I'm mocking you.
Oh well, good luck.
Mocking feels meaner when the person doesn't get it.
I guess. Okay, so sensory processing sensitivity.
Mm-hmm.
As I already said, I don't remember how this came across my radar in the last week, but I'm glad it did because it shed some light. So what is it? You didn't ask, but I'll tell.
What is it?
Oh, thanks for asking. It is also called environmental sensitivity. It's a biologically based trait. So this is separate from sensory processing disorder, which is next door to autism in the DSM, literally. And, you know, it's a baby version, I guess, of it. You know, maybe the sensory. Yeah. Anyway, it is not the same thing, but okay. So it's a trait in people, characterized by increased awareness and sensitivity to the environment. A highly sensitive person processes sensory stimuli and information more strongly and deeply than others do. And see, this is why I'm just like, this is like a mediocre, not mediocre, but middle of the road. I would never. Deeply processing things is a mentalistic term, and
I was going to say it was weird. It was a little weird to hear because, like, when I think deeply, I think like passionately. Yeah,
and I'm like, how can you ascribe passion? Like, how would you know that? But maybe, I mean, I don't know. Anyway, so mentalistic. Just a side note. But okay. But then they put it right here. I wish I had more time to do a little bit better research. As you may or may not know, I do try.
And you do a great job.
Thank you. But anyway, that seems subjective and I don't like that. But individuals with what they are shortening it to, SPS, express these characteristics. Deeper cognitive processing. So I don't know what that means, but maybe just overthinking is what I'm thinking. Like, next level. Lots of people say, oh, everybody overthinks. Oh, you know, people say this to me almost daily. And I'm like, yes. However, I do believe that you're saying that we're alike, which is probably true, but it doesn't seem to affect you.
I will say this happened to me last week. I had to write a simple friendly email to a person that I have known for well over a decade and has never said like even neutral things about me, only said good things about me. A very positive relationship. I had to send an email that was just asking a question about something. It took me, it was maybe a 3-sentence email. It took me about an hour to write, and I could not bring myself to do anything for 2 hours afterwards.
I'm not laughing at
No,
you.
no. It's a funny situation. I am trying to illustrate what deeply overthinking might look like. We do all overthink. I think that situation, especially happening a decent amount, does not fall into that category. You know, It's the same thing of like, we all lose our keys. I spend roughly, I'm joking, not 6 hours a day, but I spend a good amount of my day looking for my water bottle.
I see. I don't anymore.
Why would you look for my water bottle?
I don't know. I often lose my phone. And I have 3 phones. Only one has a phone number now. But the trade-in value was like $20. I was like, fuck this. I'm using them as tablets.
Mm-hmm.
So I have 3
at home. They actually go for a good amount on like OfferUp or something like that.
Do they?
Mm-hmm.
My Androids?
Probably.
But I like having 3.
Well,
I like playing certain games, and I have different accounts for these games on the different phones.
Mm-hmm.
So I can, anyway, I just enjoy my situation.
Yeah, then keep it that way.
I will. Okay, so deeper cognitive processing, or whatever word you would like to use that is more scientific. More attention to subtleties, greater emotional reactivity, pausing before acting. I don't know.
Yeah.
Greater awareness of environmental and social stimuli, including moods, the moods and emotions of others. Which from this list, I'm like, I don't know. But I again, later in this article, it is much more clear.
Okay.
But I do think maybe the pausing before acting is kind of like what you just talked about with the email situation. Mm-hmm. Instead of just like I impulsively do stuff all the time. But like when it comes time, like you quote hired me, right, to help with the filming things. Yes. I have thought about it a lot because I have 0 experience. Mm-hmm. And anytime I'm doing something new, it takes me an incredible amount of time, sometimes months, depending on what it is, to actually do it. Mm-hmm. Unless I've seen it modeled in front of my face or something, like, and maybe that's what that is. Mm-hmm. And I am definitely, go ahead, you were going to talk about that point.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, to your point, I think there is like, also because you do something doesn't mean that you do it 100% of the time, and doesn't mean that it's going to present in the way that you think it's going to present. Like, you know, the time we talked about interrupting being impulsivity, and just that you hadn't framed it like that before. Mm-hmm. Things show up in different ways, and they have room to show. Seemingly opposite things have room to show up. You can be impulsive and way overthink things. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the problems is they're never in the areas you would want them to be. Right.
Exactly. I constantly cut people off, and I actually don't love talking all that much. I would rather listen. I guess it depends on what I'm talking about or what the venue is. I end up talking a lot at work meetings, but when I was out in the dating world and married and stuff, I spent a lot of time not talking because I was not interested in it. Mm-hmm. I just wanted to do other things in my head.
So that was not talking or listening.
Right. I mean, not that listening. I mean, I did go to school to be a therapist. I definitely can listen. It's just you can't differentiate. Like I had a client, and she would just use our therapy time to get out of certain classes, and I hated it. She would like create some kind of problem because this was school based
Okay.
at a high school, and I would get her in there and she would just want to play a game and just be like, oh, you know, I was just like, I'm wasting my fucking time. And I'm like, thinking all this stuff. I just hate wasting my time. And it doesn't matter if I'm being paid or not. I would rather be unpaid and do what I want.
Right.
Like, don't use me. Don't, you know, or I mean, I don't know. I'm not cut out for therapy, not as a therapist. I'm a big picture person when it comes to work, which is helpful. And I'm very grateful that I can do it because I like to know what's going on in all the areas and know how to and have experience doing all of the things that are being done. But I am not an assembly line type person, you know, how we train kids to be in schools.
Right.
I don't want to do the same thing over and over and over again, you know, like having a 30 person caseload for the rest of my life just doesn't sound like fun. I don't think I'd be fulfilled that way. Anyway, I don't know why I was talking about that. Okay, so what does it mean to be a highly sensitive person?
I don't know, you did the research.
I know. Let's see. What
does it mean to be a highly sensitive person? A big fan of My Chemical Romance.
Yeah.
I said that joke because I think My Chemical Romance fans would be the coolest with it because the My Chemical Romance guys seem really cool.
They are. I've met one of them. He is very cool. Very nice.
I would assume so.
Would you? I had this thing in my head where I was just like, everyone that is famous is just an asshole. And also, how do you know who your friends are? Because how do you know people are talking to you because they're interested in you or the fame and what you represent? Like, how would you know? I don't know if there's a way to know. I would never trust anyone, I guess. But I was wrong. I have a lot of wrong impressions about the world, and it doesn't take a lot for me to be like, "Oh, I was very wrong about that." Limiting beliefs are what those are. Anyway, not that I think everyone's an asshole, but I just feel like, at the very least, if you're famous, like, how do you know someone just wants to be your friend because they like you as a person?
Right.
And especially if you're an actor, how do you know who they even are?
Well, I don't know.
Right? I don't know either. And this is probably some kind of bias. I'm sure they're real people. They have to be. At least at one point they were. Speaking
as somebody who came from a filmmaking world, actors are real people. And some of them are in fact very nice and some of them are assholes. I never worked with super famous ones. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, most of the people that I've met that are famous are not assholes. But anyway.
I mean, to you, I'll put it this way. I mean, I hope you're not one of them. There's a certain amount of people in this existence that would call me an asshole. And there's other people who wouldn't say that of me. I assume that's the same for other
everybody.
People. And I think there's a thing. I don't want to defend famous people, but maybe just looking at it, I think a lot of times people are on the lookout for not if a famous person is an asshole, but how a famous person is an asshole.
Like they're looking for that specifically?
Yeah. Because that kind of, I've said before, narratives are powerful. And that narrative is a powerful one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if I ever reach some sort of fame, I'm sure many people would start thinking I was an asshole because like when I'm out and about in the world, I am not paying attention and I get surprised when people talk to me. And when I'm surprised and I'm not famous, I am so weird and my social skills are non-existent.
I yell at their face and I run.
Maybe I would start. No. But just like, what? Like, I'm just in the middle of whatever my brain is doing. And then someone's talking to me and then it's like I'm coming out of a cloud and like, oh, they're talking to me. Oh, I'm supposed to be decoding this right now. I missed half of this. Oh, okay. Now I'm going to say something surfacey. Oh, I hate everything. Oh, and I cannot hide it. So be warned. If you ever approach me and I don't know, I don't know. Anyway. Okay. What does it mean to be a highly sensitive person? So these are the things that I identified with: needing to withdraw. So privacy from stimulation. Okay. So like going to whatever your safe space is. For me, it's my whole house because it's 677 square feet and no other human lives there. And I need to do that often. And now at work, I have an office also, and I close my door a lot because I just need that like cocoon, the safety of it.
I mean, that's literally why the door is there.
True.
Otherwise, they would have just left it as a hole in the wall.
Yeah. I mean, at one point, I was not really supposed to have it closed all that often, but I just, productivity-wise, couldn't handle having it open. Anyway, being easily overwhelmed by bright lights, strong smells, loud noises, clothing materials, and other stimuli. Yes, 100%. Did these affect you at all?
Honestly, I've never been, I think we've talked about jeans before on the show and stuff like that. I'm pretty comfortable in the things I wear every day because I've been wearing them every day for quite some time. And it's very rare that I wear something else. I don't have a lot of physical things I don't have a lot of touch sensation things that drive me crazy. A couple of them are, I hate having wet skin that touches air. So usually the worst part of my day is the time between when the shower turns off and when I grab a towel. I don't know how people air dry. That seems insane to me. And then just little stuff like I can't wear a pair of socks more than once if they haven't been washed.
Do people try to do that?
Some people will. But like or I'll put it this way. I won't wear them if I have taken them off, then they can't go back on. Okay. That I can't, and maybe that's a fairly normal thing. I don't know. But yeah, I don't have, that was one of the things that when I was going through the ASD evaluation, that seemed weirdly like a sticking point to them, was that I didn't have a lot of sensations when it comes to the way things feel, that bother me.
Oh, I'd never paid attention to it, but I have a ton. A lot of them are clothing wise. Now I've just kind of whittled it down, but like there is a lot of clothing. I mean, wool is the example because it's not just people with sensitivity issues. It is a very hot and scratchy thing. But there are many fabrics. Every time I would try to force myself to wear something because like, it's cute. I should want to wear this, but I just can't do it. All of my skin that's touching it for whatever reason, like it feels itchy and it feels hot. Like I am going to explode. I'm going to sweat. Like there are many fabrics like that for me. So now I have to be very choosy with the clothes that I buy, which and tags. Sometimes I can handle, sometimes I can't. I cut them. I mean, hold on. This whole thing. This is a Slipknot shirt. It didn't come like this. I cut it up. I mean, the coolest thing they ever started doing was starting to just print the tag versus like putting a tag in there. That's been helpful. But then, this t-shirt is like on the cusp. Like it's not the most comfortable, but it's not uncomfortable. It's just a little stiff. It's not my favorite.
I was going to say that might change with time if it's just stiff.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just the type of shirt it is. It's not like a fancy brand, I wouldn't say. There's some of them are just
it's not your bourgeoisie Slipknot shirt.
Right. Come on, Slipknot. I have a lot of sensory kinds of things. Some textures like eating raw carrots or raw almonds, and it's not other vegetables or other nuts, but they make me want to throw up and gag.
It's weird. I am on the complete opposite of that. Crunch in a food. Oh my God. Like a good carrot, like with the skin on, that like snap crunch. There's not much.
I almost dry heaved.
I love it so much. Like an apple can have a pretty good one. But man, a carrot, that snap.
You could just have a cracker.
It doesn't snap like that though. That's like kind of like, I guess that's kind of crunch might have been the right word. Snap is the right word. That like not like the ch. Although that doesn't hurt either. Anyway.
Wow.
I just
but then that also is a thing though. Like I don't know how many. I literally don't know how many people would have that same reaction to like a certain type of snap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, lots of the bright lights do bother me. Loud noises actually bother me the most. Not even just loud, but like if a motorcycle, like if something just overwhelms all of my other sense, like that's how loud noises feel to me. And the motorcycle ones are the ones that I notice the most because it's the most frequent thing that is unpredictable that happens in the environment. At least, like you can hear it out here because the street's not too far. Like in a car, the ones without any kind of muffler. Some of them are just like so loud and I can't think or hear myself or feel my body for that split second that has overwhelmed my system. I don't know.
I will say this, and I hear that a lot. I don't get overwhelmed by loud sounds that much. I will get overwhelmed if, well, first of all, the sounds that actually bother me the most, hums, hisses, they're very silent sounds that are just like loud enough to distract me from what I'm trying to do. Like I would say,
like this cricket.
No, the cricket not on my scale. The mini fridge over there, I've been listening to for the whole podcast. Not the whole podcast, but it's been on my radar.
Is that what that is? It sounds like a fish tank almost.
I think it is.
It is loud, but that is not distracting to me. But
yeah,
I can hear it.
But like that's the kind of things that'll get me. Also, in a like if I'm at a concert and it's super loud. Not a problem. Honestly, if I'm in any super loud place doesn't bother me. If I have to have a discussion, even if I have to have a discussion in a super loud place, it's not as horrible. But if I have to have a discussion in a place, because like people expect not to hear each other and you're yelling at each other. But if I have to have a discussion in a place where the volume is about the volume of speaking volumes, it is just so like, look over here, 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 look over here with everything that's going on. And I cannot concentrate on what the person is saying, even if I desperately want to. It feels like literally someone's coming and slapping my attention every second. And that to me is like that's like I can deal with loud stuff. I can deal with that. None of that. I never have to bring like headphones anywhere. I should, I'm old enough now. And when you're young, you should too. I should start wearing earplugs to concerts.
No. Deadens the experience.
Anyway.
I'm not in your profession. I don't need to preserve. It's those it's the same thing I think with like rooms or like crowd sizes. I don't mind being in huge crowds. That doesn't bother me so much. And I don't mind being so much in small, like one-on-one situations. But like if you get like a mid-sized room, like a mid-sized like get together, that's hell for me.
That's the hardest for me. And I don't know why that is, but that's when it comes to sound. I get overwhelmed by mid sounds.
Huh.
If that makes sense.
I mean, I am constantly like at work, like potlucks, they'll play music. And if this happened, they did a Valentine's Day one, and I had physical therapy. So I came in after, like during the thing, and I immediately was like, can we please turn the music down? People do it because
they scared of you.
No, but like,
They
I
know.
also voice it loudly, like I was like, if I'm expected to actually talk to people during anything, now I just like advocate for myself and say this needs to turn down or I'm not doing it. Which is not, I'm not trying to control the situation, but like a little bit, like I just can't, like a little bit to your point, if the volume is the same as the voices, like forget it. I just don't want to participate at all.
Yeah.
And like parties at work, I don't love all of that stuff anyway. Like I would rather work.
I was that way too.
But I have to do it. And anyway,
I was going to say too, just because of the way you brought it up of like, it is weird because I've never framed it in like, it really is dependent on whether or not I'm supposed to be talking to somebody. But like you were saying, like the music being really loud sans me having to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
If I were in a room with really loud music, even music that I didn't like that much, that wouldn't overwhelm me oddly enough as if it were coming from next door. If there were a wall between us and it was dampened and muted, that for some reason would be way more of like the nails on the chalkboard for me. And I don't know why that is, but
Yeah.
so,
I don't know
but like
either.
so I say buzzes and hums.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of these things bug me. Strong smells, it depends. Probably not more than other people. I don't know. I am definitely, so another one of these is being affected by other people's moods, and I definitely am. And now that I'm understanding more about myself, I don't know that it's because I want to please that other person, but it's just like, if I'm not cognizant that this could happen in whatever I'm walking into, then it just like hits me like Slimer, like, like that's how it feels. And then I'm just like, I've got this icky emotion that wasn't there, that isn't mine. Like one of the reasons I've figured out that I really don't like Las Vegas in general is as I've said, I'm not prone to depression and stuff, but there is a huge ick for me when it comes to casinos in general. And like every time, you know what, if you have money, go. But like, that's not who I'm looking at when I'm walking through a casino. I see people who were just like, and it's not even like addicted. It's just like, it's just really sad to me. And I feel like I'm absorbing a lot of what's going on in there.
It's one of my, it was a quote from Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas by Hunter S. Thompson. It was dry humping the American dream. And I've always kind of...
That's what casinos are?
He was talking about specifically that kind of late at night, early morning, when it's just like the hardcore people left.
It doesn't matter what time it is. I look around and I'm just like, I just get sad, which is not a normal state for me. And I don't think that the people sitting at the machines or whatever are necessarily, I'm sad, let me gamble. I think it's more of like like a loss of hope kind of situation. That's how it feels, more than like sadness, I guess.
Or is it like, is it sad because like, just, I'm not calling the people losers, but mathematically, you're just watching people lose?
I don't think that it's mine.
Okay.
Is what I think, because it's not a normal feeling for me. I don't feel things like that often. So when they do, I'm just like, well, where is this coming from? Like the last time, other than being in Vegas, we didn't really spend much time in a casino, so I wasn't like looking at people. But
right.
For my birthday, I went on a little road trip to the haunted clown motel, but there's like casinos in there, and that was the last time I remember cognitively.
Casinos in the town or casinos in the
town?
Oh,
I mean, it's Nevada, and then they've got casinos everywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the town, not in the
haunted cloud.
No. They just stick with the haunted clowns.
I would love it if they had like one very old school, put the metal quarter in, pull the thing slot machine. That would be cool.
You know, they did use coins at the casinos in that town, though, so you're not far off. Yeah, no, but like just looking or like I don't know, I'm just like, God, this is just like overwhelmingly depressing, and I want to get out of here. Like, there's nothing alluring about it to me.
I get that. Oddly enough, Las Vegas is a place where, and this is gonna sounds contradictory to what I just said, maybe, but I think it's maybe a lower volume. There is something about the fact, yeah, it's definitely a lower volume, that no matter where you go in Las Vegas, there's this kind of white noise of the machine, of people chattering, of like, obviously not in your hotel room.
Sometimes, depending on the hotel.
That's very true. There is kind of, there's always, usually cigarette smoke in the air, which is a smell that a lot of people really hate. I used to smoke. My dad was a smoker. I smoke cigars now. And cigar smoke is different, but like, I'm just not offended by the smell of tobacco. It's kind of soothing to me. And I don't know, it just kind of, Las Vegas has enough of those things that it has enough background noise. Like you've said before, that you have to put on, like, you have to have some kind of stimulus while you're listening to an audiobook or something like that. Or
while I'm sleeping.
Or while you're sleeping. Or
all the time. No quiet.
Yeah. I don't know. There's just something about the way a Las Vegas hotel will resonate in general with sensations that my brain works better there, and I feel more comfortable there. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I totally get the sadness thing. It doesn't hit me like that, but I could see.
And it's not even a judgment on people.
Yeah.
It's just like something that, I don't know, I just don't love it. Like, walking through a casino is something I can do. I can even like play something, but it's just, I can't spend a lot of time because it starts getting under my skin. And I absorb other people's stuff if I'm not paying attention. Like, if someone is scattered or dysregulated at work, if I don't know that person's going to be there that day, or if I don't know like that mood is happening or whatever, all of a sudden I feel those same things where maybe I didn't before, which is why I'm trying to take my own baselines before I walk in anywhere. Because then I can tell. That'll be easier for me to tell whether it's mine or whether I'm absorbing some of it or whether that's affecting me versus it's out of nowhere and I feel out of control. And I don't know why. So that's kind of, I'm in the process of trying to figure out how to do that more so that I'm not like, so like, because it's always been like that for me. But now I just want to block it off if I can, now that I know that I'm not in fact losing it. This is a real thing. And I do have some control if I am paying attention.
Yeah. If you know how to, what to do.
Right. Exactly. Okay. So another thing, feeling annoyed or overwhelmed when asked to do too many things at once. Yes. Annoyed. Oh, yeah. Yes. Sometimes 100%. Overwhelmed, but annoyed all the time.
I don't know how to be overwhelmed and not annoyed.
I guess. I do, I think. I could be like, actually, okay, here's an example. Like, with all the things that come with just one of the things I'm working on, there's a lot of levels to it that have to get added on. So it's not even someone's asking me to do these things. It's like I'm discovering I have to do a bunch more things. I feel that's overwhelming, but I'm not annoyed by it. It's part of the project. If someone is asking me to do something that they very well can do for themselves, on top of all this other stuff that's going on, if I already have my own situation and someone's like, can you do this? Or even like my friend today was like, oh, hey, did you reach out to your friend in Dubai? No, I didn't. I was like, I can't do that till the weekend. He's like, oh yeah, no pressure. No problem. Because I'm having one of those weeks. But like, if he would never do this, but if he was just like, well, can you just tell him today? I would freak out. But this person also knows this about me. It's like, we're trying to plan something for next year. It's not a rush, We can wait 5 days to get that ball rolling.
I was gonna say, it's weird, because I am just the one it reminds me of is I cook dinner at my house most nights. I'm the one who cooks, and I like cooking, and also I like cooking for people, and my family is my favorite people in the world, and so like this is actually like a thing that if not enjoying the process of it, which a lot of times I enjoy the process of it, but I certainly enjoy the results. It feels like I get to make kind of like a homemade present for my family every night. And I love that aspect of cooking specifically for my family. And I love food. And so cooking is just a thing I enjoy, but it is, and I love my children so much. It is cartoonishly without fail that cooking, it involves you've done some cooking on professional levels. It involves keeping some things straight in your head, keeping a couple of things going. And my kids will fucking ignore me all day. The second I start cooking, one of them going, "Hey, how's it going? What are we?" And it's like, this is just not the time right now. This is just not the time. And I'm trying not to be an asshole. But also, that is when kind of I guess you'd call it your mask. My mask is at its lowest. And that's maybe like a comparison that we haven't made before. But even outside of neurodiversity, neurotypical people will mask around their kids. Yeah. They'll be like, "Hey, this is," they'll change the way they talk. They'll change the verbiage they would use. They'll change the way they act around a child. And so, but like that mask is just so down because I'm doing other things. And so it's hard not to show. It's not like untethered rage, but it is irritation. A high level of annoyance. And just so much ends up like, "I love you, baby girl. I'm doing this right now. Mijo, get out of the refrigerator. I'm cooking dinner right now. You see me doing it." And so yes, overwhelm and annoy I get. And it's not even that thing bugs me, but like to what you said, it's that thing with the other tasks. Normally those things I would easily just sit and have a conversation with my kids about.
Oh. I mean, I feel that same way with my cats, and they're not even trying to talk to me. They're trying to get my attention, though.
I was going to say, they're trying to talk to you.
Yeah, they think they are.
That's my impression of your cats. It was really good.
Yeah, that does not sound like them at all.
You thought they were here with us right now.
No, this would be chaos.
I saw you. You got very scared and concerned. It was in your face.
My face that shows nothing. Okay, let's see. Becoming nervous when observed performing a task, which, yes. And I used to think I had stage fright, which I don't actually think I do, because some things, no problem at all.
I have a lifetime of being known for being just kind of impossibly shy. And oddly enough, never really had a problem public speaking. Not that I've been in that situation a lot, but like I've been thrown into it a few times and never really been an issue. And so I always thought it was strange because I never, like you said, I thought that you thought you had stage fright of like, I don't know, for some reason I have like the opposite of what stage fright is. Not that I'm stoked about it. Not that I don't have turmoil before going on.
But it doesn't freak you out that people are going to be watching you do something.
I don't know. Once I'm into it, I'll put it this way. And it could be, like the few times I've had to do it is like Q&As for films I've worked on or stuff like
But
that.
you know the material, so
And
it's not a problem.
so I was going to say it might be, you know, a selective thing, but also I don't know. I worry about being perceived a lot in situations where I'm just a human being in the room. Like a lot. And so it's I've always been weirdly surprised in times when I've had to speak publicly that it doesn't get to me. And then when I'm not speaking publicly, I'm like, am I arching my arms at a weird angle when I walk? Are my arms going too far? Well, now this is not going nearly far enough.
Yeah, no, I'm the opposite of you. I if I walk in a room, I'm a 6 foot tall female. People notice that. I don't even care anymore. I accept me. But it used to bother me a lot. But I don't care how people perceive me now. Usually. I mean, a little bit, but not to a debilitating level. Like if I'm like, what are my hands doing? It's not because I'm like, what do you think my hands are doing? I'm just like, is this a normal way to be? Like, I don't know. Like it has nothing to do with other people's perception now, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I am the opposite. I feel intensely judged. I don't know why.
Oh.
You know what is weird about it's probably because I'm tall, but also probably because I don't notice things. And I'm not like, oh, I don't notice people's blah, blah, blah. I mean, like I'm not perceptive enough. But the first time I hung out with Robin in person, Robin, our producer, also 6 feet tall. And Paul, her husband, 6'1". I think it wasn't until like it was like we had like just tacos and we're hanging out and said goodbye at the end of the night. It wasn't until the end of the night I was like, wait a minute, you guys are kind of tall. And I mean it may be because I'm tall and I just didn't notice. But like the same thing happened. Like you brought up you're tall and I wasn't like but it was a weird thing that I didn't notice at first.
I notice all the tall people because I've been taller than everyone forever. The other thing they put on here is sensitivity to caffeine, which I don't have, which you do though.
I do.
You said you do.
I have a sensitivity to caffeine within. It's because I don't know how much this counts within a time frame of having taken my Ritalin.
Oh.
So like if I had a bunch of caffeine right now, wouldn't affect me that much. Okay. If anything, I tend to, or I guess I go to the crash phase quick. I don't want to say caffeine makes me tired. I don't think it works like that. But I go to
possible.
But like I could easily have coffee on the way home or an energy drink or something like that and be asleep. That's not an issue for me. But if I have a coffee in the morning and it was close enough to me taking my Ritalin, not like my world's going to be fucked or I need to call a hospital or something, but I'll feel it. I'll be fidgety and my heart will be a little, I'll notice my heart is there,
Okay. Okay. I thought you had it. I forgot that it was Ritalin related. So as far as like prevalence, some studies have suggested about 20% of the population may be considered highly sensitive or on this scale. And more recently, 3 different groups have been developed, which are high, low, and moderate. They put some flower analogies with this, and I just hate that. So, okay, if you are a highly sensitive person, researchers sometimes refer to these people as orchids, given the flower's responsiveness to changes in its environment. Less sensitive people, on the other hand, are referred to as dandelions. I just don't care about this analogy at all. They have more of them. Tulips are moderates. I don't fucking care.
This is a situation to me where not only do I not care, that makes it more confusing.
Right. I don't even know that about these flowers.
I remember, and this is like the whole thing that's going on TikTok right now that I told you about with the, women, would they choose a bear or a man to be alone with in a forest?
Oh.
And a bunch of people, including yourself, said, was it like a black bear or a grizzly bear? And like, I was like, I feel like the whole world knows something about bears that I never cared to fucking learn. And that's what I feel when you bust out the flower things of like, you had me at high, moderate, and low. And I get wanting to move away from those nomenclatures. We've seen a big push in that with autism of, it started off with like needs and
as
stuff
far as
like
functioning.
that.
Now they say it's the support needs.
Support needs. And I agree with that. I think that our language should, although that one just seems silly and it does not clarify. I don't know flowers like that.
I don't think most people know flowers like that. Like, I do feel like more people know about the different types of bears and the different types of like flowers.
Which is maybe what's wrong with our society.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know. Bears are interesting.
Bears are interesting.
Black bears hide. That's why I would care if it's a grizzly or a black bear.
Oh, and apparently I'm the odd one out on this. Apparently that was a question that a lot of people asked. And I was like,
yeah.
I mean, I know that different types of bears exist. I did not know which is bigger. I did not know which is more dangerous.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think save pandas, I feel most bears are dangerous, but likely to attack. Black bears are not. Okay, so blah blah blah. We're not talking about flowers. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Sorry, you. Flowers. Sorry, gardeners. Sorry, herbologists. That's never mind. We don't talk about that.
I told you once. I told you a million times. I will never talk about herbologists on this show.
Well, it has more to do with J.K. Rowling than.
It does. I'll talk about J.K. Rowling all day. It won't be nice.
I know it won't. I'm not ready. Okay, so sensory processing. I am so tired. So sensory processing sensitivity and ADHD. This is important to cover. So they overlap, not exactly the same. So ADHD is a neuropsychiatric disorder characterized by inattention, hyperactivity, and/or impulsivity. In our cases, all three. Mm-hmm. Sensory processing sensitivity is proposed to be a biological temperament trait. Those two words shouldn't be together. And observed in people who are more sensitive to environmental and social stimuli. Brain activity also delineates the difference between the two. ADHD is associated with less activation in cognitive processing areas that impact self-regulation, attention, and inhibition. With SPS, there are actually more activation in these areas, which that's interesting. So how does that... I really do think that I have this trait. I don't think I have the disorder, which I probably won't go into today, really, but it makes sense to me. So anyway, they overlap. The circles in your example kind of overlap in a little bit of it. Mm-hmm. But I think I have a lot of it, more so than ADHD would account for. And I mean, I'm still in the middle of the assessment for ASD, so I haven't heard anything back in a few weeks, but that's right. So interventions, this is a loose term. It's just things you could do to help yourself, which, all right, take the scale, which I did, and I scored high.
Yay!
Shocker. Keeping calm and it's okay. This was not written by a human. I feel like this might have been AI. Now I can blame AI instead of people not understanding how to construct sentences.
Honestly, I mean, I have the AI job. AI is pretty good at constructing sentences.
Okay, so tell me what you think wrote this sentence. Keeping calm and comfortable environments.
I feel like
that seems like AI because a whole word is missing.
What word is missing?
Well, I
feel like that is like it's missing context.
Well, the context is things you can do to help not be so affected by your environment. So keeping calm is one of them. And being in a comfortable environment, it would also be one of them. But together, they are not a sentence.
Gotcha.
But keeping, why are these all ending in INGs? But at least they're consistent with that. If you keep calm and you have like a safe environment or a comfortable environment, that could all go together in a sentence if you add some words, is what I'm saying here. Mm-hmm. Regardless, these are not bad ideas. Keeping calm, I mean, there's a lot that goes into that. So recognize what your calming strategies are and have them at the ready in your arsenal.
That's a much better way of saying it. Because I was going to say, keeping calm is like, it's like telling somebody,
keep calm and chive on.
But it's like saying, like, have you tried not being sad? Have you tried not thinking bad thoughts?
Yeah, just think about all the good stuff in your life.
Yeah. Nailed it. See you later.
Okay, bye. Yeah.
Thanks, Dr. Phil.
Oh, God, Dr. Phil. You can't even call yourself Dr. Phil. Anyway.
Yeah, I know. Well, I don't have a doctorate. My name's not Phil, so.
Good. I'm glad you got the point. This says decrease sugar and caffeine intake, which it does make sense. I love sugar so much. And I figured out workarounds in everything I've done, even like weight loss journeys to where I don't have to cut it out.
Good for you.
Thank you. I mean, I don't have diabetes, so it's not a long-term solution for me.
No.
Hey, not to point out our differences here, but like I have no reason to do that. Mm-hmm. I have workarounds. Is what I'm saying.
No, and too, like if something works, that's then it works.
Yeah. But I mean, I could see how this.
I'm a modern day philosopher.
Thanks, Dr. Phil. I mean, these things don't do great things for your nervous system, which is probably what they're talking about. I mean, eating a lot of sugar also just decreases your body's ability to fight things off, So there is something to it.
Yeah.
And I love sugar, but I also am not drinking full fuel Pepsi or whatever. Like, I like sugar, but I'm not eating it all the time. I definitely eat it every day, but like, I forget that, I just watched something on Apple TV about, God, what the fuck was his name? Some con artist guy in Kentucky. Rural Kentucky. He was a lawyer doing Social Security fraud. His last name is Khan. Somehow you can find that if you really wanted to on Apple TV. But like he drank Pepsi all day, which to me, drinking, if you don't drink water and you just drink soda all day, and especially full fuel, I'm like, you definitely have a mood disorder. That's how in my head, that's how things are. But not necessarily, because over in, the Appalachian mountain range, in that general area, people drink Mountain Dew like it's water. I know that's a thing.
Yeah, it doesn't make it healthy.
No.
Real quick, I need clarification on something. When you say Pepsi full, is that like a brand of Pepsi, or are you just talking about like just drinking, sugar. Not drinking Diet Pepsi?
Not drinking Diet Pepsi.
Cool. I didn't know. Maybe like sometimes they come out, like remember Jolt Cola and shit like that?
Oh, I do. No, this is Coke Zero in this cup. No, like, but I forget that there are lots of people who drink drinks with sugar all day in them. So like, that doesn't even register for me. So, maybe I'm also trying to look for ways to not have to cut anything out of my life. Also,
well, I think I don't know. I feel like sometimes that advice is good advice, but a lot of it feels like, okay, I'm on the Titanic. The Titanic's going down. What should I do? And it's like, well, don't go on the Titanic. Thank you. Mm-hmm. This is not the advice I need right now. Yeah. Like, I feel like it's good, but if we're like, especially just because we're talking about, in that feeling of overwhelm.
Mm-hmm.
I think obviously, it's stupid. But it took me a long time to realize, like I knew the fact, but it took me a long time to actually realize of like, my brain is not separate than my body. My brain lives in my body. It is fueled by my body. I can't pretend that what I do to other parts of my body is not going to affect my brain in some way. And so I do think it's important for brain health in many ways to stay healthy. Also to live a long life. I mean, it's literally called healthy. I don't have to, explain to people why it's important. But when we're talking about specific things, I feel like that's such broad advice.
It is. Caffeine. I mean, when I was a kid, my dad doesn't do this anymore, but he would drink an entire pot of coffee himself.
Mm-hmm.
Now that we're both older, we could see probably why he did that.
Mm-hmm.
But lots of people drink Red Bull all day and stuff. It definitely can affect how fast your heart goes.
I have a friend who.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Just one.
Okay.
No, as a guy I know for a long time, he drank, and again, he's a fellow Inland Empire kid. He drank a concerning amount of Monster Energy drinks, like 3 or 4 a day, maybe more sometimes. And it was like, I'm not one to be like, can you believe this is on the market? This is so dangerous. But I was like, I can't imagine this is good for you.
Yeah. I mean, excess with most things isn't probably good, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know a lot about a lot of things, but the amount of sugar in a lot of things that we don't even notice is a thing. And yeah, I mean, I drink water with a little bit of Diet Snapple in it just so that I will drink more of it. That is how I live my life now.
I have learned that I apparently love water more than anybody else loves water. I just fucking love regular water. And like people are like, oh, did you put a little spray of something? I'm like, I don't like half tastes. I'm starting to get used to them. Like I'm better about it now. But like all of the flavored waters before I couldn't do like at all. Now I'm better about it. But like, man, I do just love a nice cold water.
I do if it's right, which means it has to be ice cold and I need to drink it pretty quickly. It is definitely a tempered flavor of the Diet Snapple, but also a full throttle anything. Like it's just an overwhelm when it comes to drinking cold things. Too much flavor like that, too much sweetness, like I can't bear it for very long.
I am on the total opposite end. If it doesn't have that, if it has that weird diet taste to it, if it doesn't taste like it's going all the way, it feels weird and icky in my mouth and I don't like it.
Oh, well,
that's
why so many products exist.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the other thing is engaging in activities that build resistance, self-esteem, and self-regulation. Again, these are all very basic and kind of like where you would say, duh.
Right.
But
I feel like this is general mental health advice or general health advice.
Yeah. Which, hey, that's the only kind of advice we're fit to give. Meditation, yoga, talk therapy are examples there. All things that can help you. I would add Qigong in there because that's something that has helped me. For someone I'm sure we all have these ideas about who we are, but then sometimes reality doesn't line up. Like everyone talks about how great yoga is for your mind, body, spirit, whatever. And I do believe that for people. I can't fucking do it. I have tried so many times, but I did find that Qigong serves that same purpose. You don't have to do all these poses that are too hard, which is one of the main reasons I have struggle with yoga because I can't stand on my head. Downward facing dog is not a relaxing pose for me. The whole thing is stressful.
I kind of think that anyone who says that it is lying.
Well, yoga is lying because that's the relaxed pose.
That's what I'm saying.
But I mean, I do think that it could be for some people. I
sure.
also have back problems, and like I'm stretchy in some areas and other areas not at all. So doing yoga moves wrong can really fuck you up.
Right.
Doing qigong wrong will not, because it is very slow and intentional moving, and not as complicated. So anyway, it calms my mind, and I'm in a flow, and I do feel the chi, or whatever you want to say.
Sure. I want to check it out. Also, sometimes I just love the way words sound when they come together. And I just discovered Qigong Wrong is one of them.
Qigong.
It's just, I don't know, something
Funny
about
joke.
that pleases me.
Well, great. I'm happy you like it.
Thank you for your support.
I endorse Qigong and not yoga. I guess, what does they say? Unpopular opinion?
Sure. That's
I
the
don't
thing
know.
people
Who
say.
cares? No one even knows about Qigong.
I know. Until the millions of people that listen to our podcast.
Please. Okay, I think that's about all I'm willing to talk about anymore. I'm all done.
You're like, I'll rephrase that. I know that's about all. I'm
I know
fucking
it.
done.
My brain is tired. My face is tired. My eyes are trying to close. It's time to wrap. So,
right.
if you liked any of that, hold on, let me look at this. All right, so those were our thoughts on sensory processing stuff. I'm not even looking at it. Oh, I could read the title. Sensory processing sensitivity.
That, even seeing it like that sounds poorly worded.
It does. It's a mouthful. I will say it resonated a lot. And with the things that I've been going through, it helped explain some of the stuff that was going on, and that it is part of me. It's not a diagnosis.
Right.
That's nice. So if you liked any of the things you heard, could you like, subscribe, download, rate, and review 5 stars? Drop a line. If you would like to follow us on Instagram or TikTok, we are at InnerMoxiePod. If you want to email us something specific, myinnermoxiepod@gmail.com. You can find us on Patreon. Patreon, Inner Moxie Podcast. If you want to follow me, I am at Xanism. I am a religion as a disease, always.
I think you said a religion as a disease, which also I agree with.
Could happen.
If you want to check out more of me, I'm across the socials, but I'm most active over on TikTok. Also, you can check out my other podcast, the Band Media Podcast.
You can. And until next time.
Until we meet again.
And now I say fresh cheese bags goodbye.
Later.